19 ways you can double your garden space by using vertical gardening. Let's go, let's do it. Did you know that you can double the space in your garden without making your garden any larger by using vertical growing techniques? We're going to look at cheap and easy trellis ideas so that you and I can increase our harvest without making our garden any larger at all. Low cost or no cost, simple, quick trellises. And that was a bug crawling on my ear. Some quick considerations to think about when you are deciding on the trellis that you want. You want your garden to pay you instead of you paying your garden. So when you can, use an inexpensive but permanent trellis that will withstand the winter and withstand the winds. I see a lot of trellises online that are made from wood that is too thick, and this blocks too much sun to the vegetables that the trellis is trying to support. You don't want your trellis to be shading 20% of the light or more that is trying to come in on your beans or your cucumbers, for example. So make sure that your trellis is not made out of something that is going to, like thick lumber, that is going to be making a lot of shade as the sun moves during the day. You need a trellis that is going to withstand the heavy winds, because no matter how cute your trellis may look on Instagram, if it is not going to last more than a week because the next windstorm is going to destroy it, then what have you really accomplished? Quick interruption. Please make my day by hitting the like button and subscribing to this channel if you have not already subscribed. You know you want to make my day. I appreciate it. Your trellis should be easy to store. My trellises stay out in the garden. And your trellis should be easy to clean up, because if you're going to grow beans up your trellis, then when your beans are dead, you're going to have to remove all of those dead vines and tendrils off of the trellis. And if it's made out of chicken mesh or chicken wire mesh or something like that, that's going to be a nightmare to clean up, and you don't want to have to deal with that. This bug right here is free. Come and get it. Number 1, tomato cages. If you've got tomato cages, you can use them for more than tomatoes. You can use them for cucumbers, melons, beans, peas, flowers. If you don't have tomato cages already, the price of tomato cages has gone up quite a bit. You can get free tomato cages by going to your local Buy Nothing group or your local free section of your classified ads. Always start by asking your friends and your neighbors. Number 2, orchard sticks. I have a lot of orchard trees, and orchard trees need to be pruned. I always try to save the straight, long pieces when I'm pruning my orchard to use as trellises. And a lot of times I will just take those orchard sticks and stick them right into the raised beds. And when I am trimming those sticks, I will leave the little, let's say that I've got a branch off of an apple tree. They make really good trellis sticks, and I'm cutting off the extra branches off of the long piece, cutting off the ones I don't need, and I try to leave just a little bit, maybe a half an inch, maybe an inch of that spur, so that if I'm using peas or flowers or beans, the vines will have something to hang on to. And those are free, they cost nothing, and they're something that I'm going to have to get rid of anyway, and so why not find a use for those? Number 3 is bamboo sticks. If you are like me and you do not live in an area where bamboo grows, I have lots of free bamboo because it seems to come as a support for almost everything I buy. If I buy a tree or I buy a vine or I buy a clematis. So I've got lots of free bamboo sticks that I have collected over the years, and I use those also as free trellis sticks. Number 4, the dollar store sells panel trellises for $1.25. And I use those they're about maybe 18 inches tall. They're made of wire. I've had mine for several years. They're reusable from year to year. They look nice, and I use mine for peas and for beans, for shorter things that need trellising. let's have some real talk about trellises. There are three considerations, and the tallest plants go on the north. When you are choosing a place to put a trellis, you don't want to put a 2-foot tall trellis or a 4-foot tall trellis in the middle of your raised bed, because then if you have a 4-foot tall trellis and then you've got lettuce on the other side or you've got cucumbers on the other side, now your trellis is blocking the light to those plants. Second consideration is that your trellis should run from north to south. You always want your trellis to be in the center of your raised bed or in your garden row and to run from north to south so that your trellis gets full sun in the morning and full sun in the evening, unless of course you're working in an east light garden, which is a different video that we won't talk about today. If your trellis runs from east to west, then it will get full south sun and no sun or very little sun on the north side, and that will dramatically decrease your harvest. We had a severe windstorm at our house last week. And if you are using a trellis that is 4 feet tall to grow plants that are 18 inches tall, then your trellis is more likely to get ripped down by the wind because it is taller than it needs to be, and the taller it is, the more the wind can catch on it and try to tear it down. You want it to be the height of the plant. You want it to match the mature height of the plant. Number 5, at any garden center you can get inexpensive wooden stakes or metal stakes, and at any dollar store you can get inexpensive twine, and you can use stakes and twine. The size of the stake and the length of the twine depends on the amount of space that you're trying to trellis. These box elder beetles that keep landing on my shirt are free. I'm willing to give them away to all of you. Free gift with video. You just come over here and collect them. Number 6, instead of purchasing stakes or posts to use with twine to make a trellis, you can use orchard sticks to make a trellis with string. Or all you have to do is stick them in the ground and knot the twine around the sticks. Number 7, you can make an easy trellis ladder, by laying out sticks and then tying rope to make a ladder, and then finding a place to hang that ladder from, and that could be off of 2 tall stakes or off of 2 tall T-posts or off of 2 inexpensive metal garden posts. Number 8 is an orchard teepee. You probably need at least 6-foot sticks, and you're probably going to need apple trees or something like that to get those. You take all of the side branches off and then make a teepee style out of those, tie some string at the top, and then you can wrap string around that or tie string around that to make an orchard teepee. These are best for vines or for flowers, and sometimes you can leave an opening in your teepee so that the kids or the grandkids can play inside the teepee. You can make a nice looking trellis by reusing and recycling inexpensive metal or wood curtain rods. Some people are using inexpensive curtain rods as garden trellis material. Metal curtain rods can be found at Restore or the dollar store or the thrift store, or look in your shed or your garage. Maybe you have some stacked in a corner somewhere, sitting up against the wall in the corner somewhere, or ask your friend. Number 10 is rebar. Rebar is a form of steel that is used in construction, especially in concrete work. And I have quite a bit of rebar that I've been able to get for free. I have never paid for rebar. If you know someone who is in the construction business, ask them if there's any rebar scraps that you can have, or ask online. Number 11, thrift store ironwork. You see decorative pieces of iron showing up at thrift stores. I have a couple of pieces myself. Sometimes these are parts of headboards for beds, or sometimes they are decorative wall hangers, and you can get them very inexpensively because, and sometimes they're 3 feet wide or 4 feet wide or 1 or 2 feet tall, and they can be wrought iron with scrolls and decorative work on them and look really nice, and can be a nice addition to your garden as a trellis. Probably the most popular garden trellis in the United States is hog panel or cattle panel, and that is a welded mesh wire fence section that is inexpensive and will outlive you and me. A 16-foot cattle panel or hog panel is about $30 right now at a farm store like IFA or Cal Ranch or Tractor Supply. This wire is thick and will withstand the weather for decades. It can be bent into a V shape or a U shape so that you can use that in your garden like this, or you can make full arch trellises out of it, which is what I have done at my house. If you want to have a simple trellis made out of cattle panel that does not need any stakes at all, simply cut a cattle panel in half, which you can do with an angle grinder. And if you don't have an angle grinder or don't know how to use an angle grinder, then ask your handy neighbor or your friend or your friend's husband, because angle grinders are pretty cheap and a lot of people have them. You can get an angle grinder at Harbor Freight for about $20, and it will take them all of 30 seconds to cut that cattle panel in half. And then once it is in half, you can fold each half in half again, and you will have for $30 two really sturdy, nice looking trellises that are A-frame trellises that will stand up on their own and do not need any other support. If you don't want your trellis to be so tall, or if you just simply you don't want your trellis to be bent and you just want to put it on stakes down the middle of your raised bed, these same stores also sell half-size cattle panels, which are half the height tall, and they're about $20 for a 16-foot section, and they also sell 8-foot sections, so you wouldn't even need to cut that. There are advantages to making the arch panel, and the simplest way to make an arch panel is either to put it on 4 T-posts or to put it on in between 2 raised beds and attach it like that. I attached mine on my 2 existing raised beds, but many of my friends have simply put 4 T-posts into the ground and then wired their trellis to that. Once you have a cattle panel, a 16-foot cattle panel will make about a 7-foot tall arch. You can grow grapes on that. I grow my pole beans on that, cantaloupes on that. You can grow roses on that, anything. You can grow nasturtiums or clematis. Number 15, you can buy rolls of welded wire that is a quarter of the thickness of a hog panel and is cheaper. It comes in larger rolls, but by linear foot it can be cheaper than the cattle panel. You will need some T-posts or other metal garden stakes to attach that to. So you want to make sure that you get a large enough mesh that maybe 3x3 holes or 4x4 holes that you can stick your hand through, so that you can do some weeding, so that you can harvest your cucumbers, so that you can pick your beans. Number 16. At any hardware store, they have 1x1 lumber, and you can get inexpensive lumber or you can get architectural grade lumber that is a little more expensive but will stay straighter and look nicer out in the garden. It's not very expensive, and if you can use an inexpensive drill and some screws, then you can get a set of hinges from Walmart or from the hardware store, small hinges that come with their own screws, and you can make a folding A-frame wooden trellis out of 1x1 lumber for less than $10 or $12. Very inexpensive, very nice looking, foldable for storage, and reusable from year to year. Number 17 is what is called a tent trellis, and that simply means you decide the length of your trellis. For example, if you're going down the center of your raised bed, you put 2 sticks together on the south end of your raised bed, you put 2 sticks together on the north end of your raised bed, and then you put a long stick in between and then lay sticks up against those. You can attach them with inexpensive wire. Some people attach them with those plastic clips. What are they called? Zip ties. Some people attach them with inexpensive zip ties. I do not recommend that because zip ties do not hold up to UV light and will not last more than 1 summer, but wire will last forever. Number 18, on Amazon or other online stores, you can find very inexpensive, really nice looking arched metal trellises for the garden for $20 to $30. There are examples for $20, $25, $30. They look really nice. I don't have any in my garden, but I have friends who use these. They last well from year to year. They can stay permanently outside in the garden. They don't even have to be brought in for the winter for storage, and that's a good bargain if you ask me. Number 19, finally, a two-tur trellis. I have built several two-tur trellises. I have a couple that are 8 feet tall. I have several that are 4 feet tall. I have 5 feet tall, 6 feet tall. These are a little bit more of a project. If you're like me and you like to build things, and you can use a saw and you can use a drill, and simple saw and simple drill, and you know how to install screws, you can make yourself a two-tur trellis using instructions off the internet. There are many examples on YouTube, and if you want me to make you a two-tur trellis video, I can show you how to do that too. While I was researching this video, I found an example of a two-tur trellis that uses a clay pot as its topper, which I thought was a genius idea, and now I want to make that for my garden. I want that in my garden. Another kind of trellis is simply to grow one plant on another one. In this photo, you see my tall telephone peas growing up my raspberry bush. They do need to be planted on the south side of the raspberry bush because otherwise they won't get enough sunlight. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Here's my books. They're available on Amazon. If you want to support the channel, please go to Amazon and buy the books. I appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.